for sine rule to be applied, it means out of the 3 parameters, 2 of those parameters must be a side and the corresponding angle. So that was our conclusion last week. So based on that, I'm just trying to remind us of that. And apart from that, we also said something about cosine rule. And so what I'm just trying to say there is that we said in this case, for us to be able to apply sine rule, if this is A, B, and C, then out of the 3 parameters, we can see that we have 6 parameters. Out of the 6 parameters, 3, minimum of 3 will be given. So in such a case, whereby we have been given a side, let's say side small a, and the corresponding angle A. So in such a case, we say sine rule is A over sine A, which is equals to B over sine B, and which is what? C over sine C. So that was our conclusion for sine rule. Conclusion for sine rule. So we also have what we call the cosine rule. So in the cosine rule, we said for us to be able to apply the cosine rule, if you still have a triangle A, B, C, in such a case, we must be given 2 sides and the included angle. We said 2 conditions. A first case is if you are given 2 sides, let's say we have been given side A and then side B, then in such a case, we must be given the angle in between the 2 sides. So that is what we make up how we can apply the cosine rule. That's the first. It could be in this case, or it could be in a case whereby all the 3 sides have been given. All the 3 sides have been given. So in such a case, we say that we can apply the cosine rule. So that is how we can apply the sine and the cosine rule. Now, let's quickly take some questions as a kind of review for that particular, for those areas. So I want to take us to the ISN. So in that particular one, yeah. So let's quickly use our ISN to, some of us already have it, but for the purpose of those that don't have it, for those that have it, you can just, you can go to the algebra, the geometry part. That's where we are going to quickly use the geometry part under alphabet R, trigonometry. So that's where we are going to quickly see the application, how we can apply our sine and cosine. So I think I'm sharing my screen here. Should be able to see. Okay, I can see that we can't see the screen. It's different thing that the screen is displaying. Okay, I will share now so that you can see what I can see on my own screen here. So go to geometry there. Under geometry, you see trigonometry, and that trigonometry is that's R, letter R. So in letter R, when you see trigonometry, you see under solve triangles. Solve triangle is solve a triangle is so let me quickly reshare my screen so that we can see what I have here. Okay. Sorry, it shouldn't be 10. It shouldn't be 10. Let me quickly. Still letter R. Letter R. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, it is solve a triangle, not solve a right angle triangle. Solve a triangle. 13. So you can put your phone in horizontal manner so that you'll be able to see the question very well. So the first question that we have here, it says, in solving this triangle, which law must you use first? So how do we do this? Now, if you look at some of the things that have been given here, if you look at some of the things that have been given here, sorry, let me pick something to use here. Okay. Okay, so if you look at this now, if you look at this, we have said that they must give us 3 parameters. Look at the 3 parameters given here. So we have been given this, we have been given this, and we have been given this. So looking at some of those things that we have been given, we realize that they are what? 2 sides and the included angle. And anytime you have been given 2 sides and the included angle, then it means what we can apply first is to apply our cosine rule. So the answer is cosine rule, laws of cosine. So just click on this. Okay, I should stop this before. Yeah. Okay, so laws of cosine, then we can submit that. So you can see the next question says, in solving this triangle, which law must you use first? So looking at this now, you have been given 2 angles, 152 degree, 11 degree, and you have been given 13. If you look at the 13, actually here, we have not been given the what? The corresponding angle to that 13. But it is obvious that we can find it since we have been given 2 angles. So the 2 angles given. So just look at those 2 angles that have been given. Then how do we do that? So it means you calculate. So 152 plus 11 will give us what? 163. So if this is W, so it means W plus 163 will give us 180 degrees. Sum of angles in a triangle. So it means W will be equals to what? 17. So the W here should give us 17. So it means we have been given a side and the corresponding angle. So it means from here we can now find whether U or V. So meaning that in this case, the first thing that we can do is to what? Is to apply the laws of sine. So we are applying the sine rule here. So the answer is apply the sine rule. Sine rule. So we can submit that. So that's correct. Okay. So the next question, say in solving this triangle, which law must you use first? So we can see that it's still similar to what we have been doing. It's still the same. So which one do you think we can apply? So in this case now, the same thing we have to do. The same thing we have been doing. That's the same thing we have to do here. Now look at it. We have been given this 17. We have been given 12. We have been given 141. Those are the three parameters. We have said minimum of three parameters. So luckily for us, 17, this is the opposite angle to 17. So they have given us the opposite angle. So it means in this case now, we can now find what? We can find u, since we have been given the what? The angle of u, the angle corresponding to side u. So in this case now, we can now say that the first thing we can apply is to apply what? The sine rule. So the answer to this one is the sine rule. So sine rule, loss of sine, submit. So that's that. Then the next one here is in solving this triangle, which law must you use first? So let's look at this one too. This is 46 degrees. We have been given 12. That's the opposite. And then this case too. So if you look at it, since we have been given the angle and the opposite what? The side and the what? The corresponding angle. So it means in such a case, the next thing we do is what? To use our sine rule to find the what? The next. So sine rule, can submit that. So then in this case now, we have been asked to solve this particular triangle. So how do we solve that triangle? So it is also just the application. So we can just solve this and then go to the business of today. So in this case now, we want to see how we can solve this. So which one do we apply? Yeah, let me just pick up my pen. Okay, so we can see we have been given this. And then we have also been given this angle. And luckily, we have been given the opposite of this. So that is, we have been given 9, and there is corresponding what? Angle. So it means this is small side y. So from there, you can use the sine rule. So we can see that we have y, the small y and the big y. So we have big X. So it means the first thing we can find is what? The small x. This is the first thing. So as a result, you can combine x and y using the sine rule. So that would be what? X over sine x equals to what? Y over sine y. So what is our x? That is what we are looking for. Big X, that's sine 76, equals to y, that's 9, over what? Sine 36, sine 36. So if you cross multiply, we have x equals 9 sine 76 divided by sine 36. So we can either use our 4-figure table or calculator to find 9 sine 76 divided by sine 36. And if you do that, if you use your calculator, we should get 14.86. 14.86. That's x equals to 14.86. So in this case, they have said you should find the write each answer as an integer or as a decimal rounded to the nearest tenth. So if you round this to the nearest tenth, it means it will give us 14.9. So 14.9. 14.9. So that is that. Then they also want us to find the value of z. So z, you can see we have none of the z's. We have none of the z. But what we can just do is to what? Find this z. Since we know 76, the two angles. So using that, it means you are going to say that 76 plus 36 plus what? Plus z will give us 180 degrees. So 76 plus 36 will give us 112. 112 plus z equals to 180. So z equals to 68. So z is 68 degrees. That's angle z. So we now need small z. This one is big Z, angle Z. So we now need small z. And then since they have given us the complete y before, so it's better you apply y over sine big Y equals to z, small z over sine big Z. So small y is 9 over sine 36 equals to big Z or small z. Small z, we don't know it, over sine big Z, that is sine 68. So if you cross multiply, we have z equals 9 sine 68 over sine 36. And from there, if you use the way we have done the other one, so 9 sine 68 divided by sine 36. So that should give us 14.1, that's 14.20. That should give us 14.20. So it means 14.2. So let's quickly plot in our values. Let's plot in our values. So our x, the value of x, the way we have got it there is 14.9. The value of our z, small z, is what we got as what? 14.2. And then angle z is what we got as 68 degrees. So we can submit now. So that's correct. So I think we are going to pause there. So that's just the how we can continue to use the IXL. So no matter what, so you can see this is also another one and things like that. So we are going to just stop this here so that we'll go to today's business. So this is just a review of what we did last week. It's just a recap. So let me stop sharing and then go back to today's. Okay. So we have been able to review questions from IXL. So we can now move to now bearing. So when we say bearing, what do we actually mean? Those are some of the things that we need to actually consider. What does bearing actually mean? It's very, very important we know the meaning. That's what will give us a way to actually deal with it, to make it easy for us to deal with it. Now, okay. So bearing. When we say bearing is just location of points. Location. When we say bearing, it means location of points. When you are trying to locate points, that is what we mean by bearing. Now, when you are locating points, there are some things that are very, very important. We talk of reference. So we talk of reference. What do we mean by actually the reference? the reference point. So we need to actually extract that. Then before we can now go to interpretation of bearing statements. And then when we are interpreting bearing statements, we either talking about interpreting it based on the compass bearing or the 3-digit bearing. So those are the ways in which we can interpret our bearing. Now, reference. Let me go back. Reference. So what do you actually mean by reference? Reference is just like a position that you have known before. A position you have known before. And then anytime you want to identify your reference point, you always search for the preposition from. In most cases, repetition, the preposition from, the pronoun or the noun that follows the from, it is a reference. A very good example is if you have seen an IV before, invitation card to different events. It could be to birthday party, it could be to a wedding, or different, it could be even to graduation ceremony, convocation ceremony, and so on like that. So we realize that in that IV, they usually have a segment there that they will put direction. And in that place, they try to describe the venue of the event. And mind you, when we are talking about bearing, we are saying location of points. So point that have been described, how do you locate such points? That is what we mean by bearing. So how do we do that? Now, we observe that in the direction, in most cases, there are different captions. Different people with their own different style of writing. So in some cases, they will just start from. It could be that the venue is Oshodi, for example, and they want to describe the venue, say from Ojuelegba, board the bus to Oshodi, from Ojuelegba, board the bus to Oshodi. So it means board the bus to Oshodi. So it means that he assume you know where we have Ojuelegba. They assume we know where you have Ojuelegba. So that's why they are saying from Ojuelegba. So in this case, our reference is what? Ojuelegba. They assume we know that place. So that is what we mean by a reference. So anywhere they want to describe, you can't just describe a particular place without a reference. You must always refer to a particular point when you are describing another point. You assume that I know a point, so that even if I don't know such a point, I will need to ask, please, where is Ojuelegba? How do I get to Ojuelegba? So that the description will be useful for me. So that is what we mean by reference. So reference, and then in most cases, we see it as the noun or the pronoun that follows the word from. So that is what we mean by the reference. So that is what we mean by the reference. So having known the reference from this, what are the different ways of describing what our bearing? Some people can name it as the types of bearing, but the major thing there is that different ways in which we can locate our point. So the first one that we'll try to explain here is the compass bearing. The compass bearing. So what do you mean by compass bearing? From the word compass. So anytime we talk about compass, we'll be talking about our 4 cardinal points. The 4 cardinal points that we have, they are the north. We're talking about our 4 cardinal points. So the 4 cardinal points are the north, the south, the west, and the east. So the north, the south, the west, and the east. So those are the 4 cardinal points. So in trying to locate our bearing using the compass bearing, we make you see here too, we refer to either the north or the south. We start from either the north or the south. Reference. We refer to either the north or the south. For example, if I have a point here, let me say this is 30 degrees. So I'm going to describe the point in relation to the north. So such a point like this, I will call it 30 degrees east of the north. 30 degrees east of the north. Assuming it is towards this side, if I have 15 here, I will say 15 degrees west of the north. 15 degrees west of the north. I can't describe point from west here towards the north. No, I can't say that from, I can't describe a point here if I have a point here. Look at now, if I'm using this one as 15, it means the remaining one here is 75. So I can't actually use this 75 to describe these points because that 75 is not the angle it makes with the north. Any angle that we want to use to describe a compass bearing, it must be that it is the angle it makes with the north or with the south. And this is an example. So if I've been given 15 degrees here, it means I need to look for the complement of 75. The complement of 75, so that it will be the one that we so that it will be the one that it is going to make with the x with the north. So if I'll be given 75, it means I'll look for the remaining ones. 90 minus 75, that's 15. So I can now represent it as what? If I want to write it, I'll write it as n 15 degrees west. But if I'm pronouncing it, I pronounce that 15 degrees west of north. 15 degrees west of north. But if you are writing it down, you write north 15 degrees west. So which means 15 degrees west of north. Likewise, this one that I've described earlier here, I told you it is what? If you are writing it down, it is n 30 degrees east. So, but if you are pronouncing it, you pronounce that 30 degrees east of north. So that is on that. So that is what we mean by the compass bearing. Likewise, I said is either you make reference to the north or to the south. So it could also be that when you are trying to make reference to the south, let's look at that one again. North, south, west, east. Now, let's assume that I've been given an angle here, a bearing here, and I've been given this place as 50 degrees. So describe this particular bearing in compass bearing. Describe this in compass bearing. So I've mentioned it earlier that in compass bearing, you don't find your angle in relation to any other thing apart from the north and the south. Now you can see this, that it doesn't have a particular angle it makes with the north or south, but it's closer to the south than the north. You can't make, if you try to want to know that the angle it makes with the north, it means it will already be more than 90 degrees. You have to add this 90 plus 50 to make it 140. And such an angle is too much. It has exceeded 90. So whereas the angles you must have here must not what? Must not exceed 90 degrees. So as a result, you have to look for the angle it makes with the south here. So if this space is 50 and we know that everything is 90, so what do we do? It means you find the angle here, the complement of 50, and that will give us what? 40. So when you are now describing, you say that it's starting from the south and it's moving towards the east. So if you are describing it, you write S 40 degrees east. And if you want to pronounce it, you pronounce it as 40 degrees east of south. 40 degrees east of south. So that is how you can do what? You can represent that. So in summary, that is what you mean by the compass bearing. So we are going to take some example statements, but let me quickly explain what you mean by the three significant or 3-digit bearing. 3-digit bearing. So when we say 3-digit bearing, in that case, it means irrespective of anything, you are starting, we start from the north. Start from the north. Start, you are reading from the north. So having started it from the north, you also make sure that what? You read in what? In a clockwise manner. So you read in a clockwise manner. So how do I mean? It means you start from the north. You start, this is the north, and you read your angle in a clockwise manner, the way our clock works. The way our clock works. This is the way it works. So it means this one will be, this is still the north, and then this is 0 degrees. Up to this is 90 degrees. Up to this is 180 degrees. Up to this is 270 degrees. And up to this back is 360 degrees. So, for example, if you have been given angle 120 degrees, the bearing of 120 degrees. So it means you now count. This is up to 90. The remaining one here is what will be, what do I add to 90 to make it become 120? So I believe you will tell me that the only thing I can add to 90 to make it become 120 is what? 30. So based on that, I'm going to add 30. And it means it's going to end here. 120 should end somewhere here. So I can now project it. So it means this is bearing of 120 degrees. You may also be given bearing of 70 degrees, but if you have been given the bearing for 70 degrees, they will not give you a 70, they will write 070 degrees because we want it to be in 3 digits. So 070 degrees. So it means it is what? It has not exceeded 90. It is not up to 90. So it is just before 90 that we can see 70. So it should be somewhere here. So 70. So it must always start from the north. You may be given 240. It means after 180, we have 240. So I haven't got to 180 here. What do I add to 180 to make it become 240? So I must add what? 60. Just say 240 minus 180, that will be 60. So I need to add what? 60 to it. So add 60. So if you have 60, so that is that. So that is what we mean by the compass bearing and the 3-digit bearing. So let me recap it again. For compass bearing, we write the 4 cardinal points, the north, south, west, and the east. And then any angle you want to find at all, you must find it in relation to the north or to the south. In relation to the north or to the south. So when you are the north, it means you can move to the west or to the east. So in such a case, you may have, when you are already in the north, you may have a particular angle west of the north or a particular angle east of the north. So that is how you can have it. And then when we talk of 2-digit, 3-digit bearing, we say that we must start our reading. We must start our reading from the notes, and then you read in a clockwise manner. Read the notes in a clockwise manner. So, and then we have given us the major angles that you have there. You have from 0 to 360 degrees. So the first quadrant is 0 to 90. The next one is up to 180. The next one is up to 270. And the next one is up to 360 degrees, which is back to that 0. So those are the different things that we can have. Now let's go to statement, interpreting statement. Interpreting statement. So okay. Now interpreting statement. So illustrations. The bearing of A from B is 145 degrees. Find the bearing of B from A. Number 2, the bearing of C from D is 32 degrees. So 32 degrees west of north. Find the bearing of D from C in 1, compass bearing. 2, in what? 3-digit bearing. So we also need to be able to swap from the two. Let's just take these 2 questions. Now for the first one, he said the bearing of A from B is 145 degrees. And he said find the bearing of B from A. So like I've explained earlier, let's look at the solution. The bearing of A from B. What is our reference? I told you the reference is the noun or the pronoun that comes after from, the preposition from. So here it is B. It means I need to come here and see where I can locate my B. Because they assume I know B. Based on the assumption, where is my B? Just look around your and make sure you are the middle. You leave space to the left, leave space to the right, leave space to the top, leave space to the bottom. So let's pick a middle point here. So picking a middle point. Okay. So if I need to pick this middle point, for example, if I pick this, so in this case now, I assume that this is what? This is B, point B. And if you look at what we have been given here, this is 3-digit bearing. So it means I must start from the north and read in what? In a clockwise manner. This is up to 90. This is up to 180. 145 is not up to 180. But what will I add to 90 to give me 145? I think the best way you can do that is just to say 145 minus 90. And that should give me 55. So I need to add 55 to 90 here. so that I have 145. So it should be somewhere here. So along this line, I can have what? Along this line or path, I can have what? I can have A. But it depends on the distance that has been given. So let me say based on the distance, it falls here. So I need to just draw my 4 cardinal points here. The 4 lines. So this is where I have A. So the question is, what is the bearing of B from A? It means I'm supposed to come to A and read from the north of A in a clockwise manner up to the line that is going to B. Let me repeat myself. So I haven't discovered where we have our A. So we have been able to locate A. This is A. And the question being asked now is find the bearing of B from A. So how do I do that? The bearing of B from A. It means I'll go to A. Measure from the north of A in a clockwise manner. In a clockwise manner. Measure up to the lines that is going to be. This is the line. So it means my angle will be from here up to this place. Now let me just use my normal, what I've learned before. I've realized that this is 90 degrees and this is 180 degrees, while this is 270 degrees. I've got it up to this level. So I know my answer should be more than 270. But the major point is, what is this small one? What is this small one? That's the major thing that I don't know now. But mind you, don't forget, when I was trying to get 145 here, I added something to 90, which is 55. It means from here to here is 55. So I will remember that this place is 55. Now, there's also a principle that we have learned before now. We call it the alternate angles. How do we always get alternate angles? Anytime you have 2 parallel lines and you have a transversal. So in this case, we can form what? Alternate angles. How do we form that? You can just carve the Z that you can see here. Carve the Z out. This is the Z. So this angle and this angle are what? They are alternates. Those 2 angles are alternates. So we call them Z angles. Z angles. So sometimes you may need to watch. You may need to invert this Z. If you invert, you can still get something of this nature. If you invert, you can get this. And so on and so forth. So based on this, you realize that we can see Z here. This is this up to this. So that's Z, inverted one. So if this place is 55, this small one here too is what? 55. So as a result, you say the bearing of B from A, the bearing of B from A is what? Is 270 plus 55. 270 plus 55. And that is what? That's 325. So that is the solution to that particular question. Solution to that particular question. I can see that our time is fast spent. We're looking at how we can actually manage 1 hour for the class. We are looking at reducing the time we spend, so that at least the little one that we can try to gather, we revise it before the class, before the next class, So we have been able to do question number 1. So we quickly look at question number 2, then entertain our questions before we call it a day for today. So it means next week we need to now make sure that we combine. You can see we are just forming statement now. We are building up. We are building up for bearing. We are only interpreting a single statement. In the major bearing question, we have up to 3 statements. I try to interpret to make a whole question. So, but when you understand the statement very well, how you can interpret each statement very well, then it shouldn't have any issue with that particular concept. So let's move to question number 2. Now in question number 2, I have the bearing of C from D is 32 degrees west of north. Now D, they assume we know D. So like we did for the other one too, go to the middle place and identify, put your D there. So what the bearing given is 32 degrees west of north. Where is the north? This is the north. This is the south. This is the west. This is the east. So 32 degrees west of north. It means you move towards there, 32. This is 32. So that is 32 degrees west of north. So you say find the bearing of D from C in compass bearing. So it means that based on the angle, based on the side given or the distance, we can actually locate where you have C. Now let's assume that this is where we have it. So it means we have C here. So put your 4 cardinal points: north, south, west, and then the east. So we need to find the bearing of D from C. It means we'll go to C and measure. Look at, you can see this is where the angle, you can see that it's related to the south, but it's farther away to the north, or farther away from the north. So in this case now, how do we do it? So based on our Z angle, if this is the line here, this is the line here. So it means this is 32, this one is true also what? 32 degrees. So it is 32 degrees towards the east. So as a result, you can say that the bearing of D from C is 32 degrees east of south. 32 degrees east of south. So that is the solution to that. But they also want us to find it in what? In 3-digit bearing. Mind you, what did you say about 3-digit bearing? Say for 3-digit bearing, what you have to do is what? Is start from the north in a clockwise manner up to the line that is going to this. So from here now, this is up to 90. Then the remaining small angle here, what is it? So since this is 32, it means we move 32 from 180. So everything here is 180. And you are trying to cut away 32 from here. So it means the angle is same thing as what? 180 minus 32. This is angle on the straight line. So this is angle on the straight line. So this one here will be 180 minus 32. So the angle can also be said to be 180 minus 32 will give us 148. So that is the solution to that. I think with this we should be coming to the end of today's activities, today's class. With this, so if there's any question, you can quickly. So if you have any question, we can quickly take your question.
So I have a question.
Okay, yeah, you can go ahead.
Concerning the number 2 example, design example number 2.
Okay.
The compass bearing. How do we get the compass bearing? It said
How
the
do you
bearing
get
of
okay.
Yes, it's not clear.
Okay.
Please, can you?
Okay, I will explain again.
Thank
Now
you.
I said for the compass bearing, the major thing that we have to first know about is the 4 cardinal points: the north, the south, the west, and the east. Now our angles, the angles will be described in relation to either the north or to the south. So you can only see n particular angle, or you see south a particular angle. Is that clear? So if you see it, for example, if they say 30 degrees, 40 degrees, or 40, 30 or 40 degrees east of north, 40 degrees east of north. If you are going to pronounce it, this is how you pronounce it. But if you are writing it down, it will be n 40 degrees east. It means we are starting from the north. You measure 40 degrees towards the east. You are starting from the north. You measure 40 degrees towards the east. So you can also describe it based on the south. 40 degrees. It could be also east of north. So it means you are starting, of south. So it means you are starting from the what? From the south, and you are measuring 40 degrees towards the east. So for this one, 40 degrees east of north, you are starting from the north, you measure 40 degrees towards this. So this is it. You are starting from the south, you measure 40 degrees towards the east. This is it. 40. You are starting from the south, you measure 30 degrees towards the west. It means like this, 30 degrees. So that is how you can do that particular one. Now in this question, they said 32 degrees west of north. So what do we do? It means you measure from the north. When you measure it from the north, if you measure from the north, if this is it, from the north, you measure 32 degrees towards the west. You know, this is north, south, west, and east. So 32 degrees towards the west. It means from the north you are starting here, you measure 32 degrees towards this side. So this is 32 degrees. So this is where you are looking for. I hope it's clear. So that's an example. It could also be Not okay. Let me take some examples here. Not 25 degrees west. How do we indicate this? So it means you draw your 4 cardinal points: north, south, west, east. So in this case now, 25 degrees from the north towards the west. This is north towards the west. This is it. 25. We may also have 50 degrees east of north. 50 degrees east of north. It means from the north, you measure 50 degrees towards the east. 50 degrees. So when you do that, sorry. So 50 degrees. So this is it, towards the east. So that is it. And I also mentioned, when I was explaining, I also mentioned that you may have something of this nature. North, south, west, east. And they give you this. And they put 40 here. If you look at the angle they gave you there, it's not in relation to north or south. So what you do is that you look at that line. Is it closer to the north or to the south? It's closer to the south than the north. So find the angle it makes with the south. This is the remaining angle. So everything should give us 90. So the remaining angle must have been what? 50. So the remaining angle must have been what? 50. So in such a case, if you want to write out this, you write it as what? 50 degrees west of south. 50 degrees west of south. I want to believe is well understood. Yes. So that is what to do on that one. I will also try to, I'll be trying to get the topic bearing in ISL. So if I get that right, I'm going to send it to us on platform so that we also practice as many questions as possible from that. So once I lay my hand on that, I'm going to send it so that for the users of ISL to practice as many questions as possible on this particular aspect. So I hope there's no other question. Any other question on this? So, okay, I think if there's no other question, we can round it up here. But before we go, let me quickly give an assignment. So today, majorly, we just looked at bearing. We have actually reviewed what we did last week. So the major thing that we did here today is the aspect of bearing, and we talked about two types of bearing. Before then we mentioned the reference as being very, very important. The word from, and that is what you have been using. From where? That's the reference. That's the first thing that you must locate before you talk about anything. From where? From D. That's the first thing you locate before talking about anything. And we also describe the two various methods of locating our point: the compass bearing and then the 3-digit bearing. So those are the major things that we look at. So for the assignment, so let me just give us a few assignments here. I'm going to send another one to ISL have two assignments here to give us. The first one says the bearing of Q from P is the bearing of Q from P is N 47 degrees east. So find the bearing of P from Q in compass bearing 2 in 3-digit bearing. Yes, I can hear you. Question number 2. Yes, I can hear you. Okay. The second question. Oh, sorry. For the second question, Ade or Kule, I've used, okay. Kule is on a bearing of, sorry. Kule is on a bearing of 2, 4, 7. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So Kule is on a bearing of 242 degrees from Ade. Full stop. Find the bearing of Ade from Kule in 3-digit bearing 2 in compass bearing. So those are the questions I have for us. So by next week, we shall move to solving complex problems. So I'm going to send this, after the class, I'll send this note to the platform. And possibly before tomorrow morning, I will share the link of the videos too. So I appreciate you all, especially my guests on this platform. And thank you very much. I don't know whether, okay. You're welcome, sir. Mr. Podel.
Talking, I said we appreciate your effort. God will continue.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate you, sir.